Most people think they're broke because they don't make enough money, but that's not the real reason. Every single year, millions of people get raises. They work longer hours, they take on more responsibility, and they increase their income. And yet, they stay completely trapped in financial struggle. Meanwhile, people earning massive salaries frequently wind up bankrupt. And this is where most people lose control. Compare that to a man named Ronald Reed. He spent his life working quietly as a janitor and a gas station attendant. When he died in 2014, he left behind an $8 million fortune. He didn't win the lottery. He just saved consistently and let compounding do the heavy lifting in the background. From the moment you enter school, the world starts teaching you financial habits. But those systems were never built to make you wealthy. Your education, the advertisements you see, the structure of modern loans, they are designed to make you predictable. Predictable workers, predictable consumers, and predictable debt holders. We are taught to view finance as a strict math problem. We stare at spreadsheets, interest rates, and tax brackets. But the math is secondary. Your behavior with money is actually a highly subjective psychological battlefield. If you do not actively identify and disarm these behavioral traps, you will simply default to the standard outcome of the modern economy, remaining a predictable worker and a reliable debt holder for the rest of your life. Think about two different children growing up. One hears constantly that money is scarce, rich people are greedy, and getting to the end of the month is the only goal. The other is taught that money is a tool, and that you invest first and spend later. The most dangerous financial habit is hopelessness. Fast forward 20 years. One adult fears money, the other understands it. This is financial conditioning. If your environment forces you to focus entirely on surviving the month, you never start asking how to build for the decade. But escaping poverty doesn't end the psychological battle. Capitalism is incredibly efficient at generating both wealth and envy. Look at this bar chart tracking a high earner's income. Earning a massive $2 million bonus feels like an incredible victory. You feel completely satisfied, right up until the moment you discover the person in the office next door earned slightly more. Suddenly, your objective victory feels like a devastating loss. Let's zoom out on this chart to look at the broader corporate landscape. To hit the top 1% of income in the US, a highly specialized doctor needs to make around $500,000 a year. That income feels immense, until that doctor buys a vacation home in the Hamptons and realizes their neighbor is a CEO making $10 million a year. The initial wealth becomes a tiny sliver by comparison. But that $10 million CEO still feels inadequate. They share social circles with elite celebrities. A childhood friend like Michael Jordan is sitting on a net worth of over $3 billion. And even the billionaire celebrity tier vanishes when you reach the absolute apex of the ladder. In 2020 alone, Jeff Bezos increased his net worth by about $75 billion. There is always a bigger fish. This relentless upward comparison creates a powerful illusion of scarcity. It drives highly intelligent people to feel utterly insecure about millions of dollars. They start over-leveraging their portfolios to catch up, taking on dangerous levels of risk, eventually destroying the very wealth they worked so hard to build. Modern society recognizes this deep-seated insecurity and profits heavily from it. Over the last few decades, consumption became deeply emotional. People don't buy functional products anymore. They purchase a specific identity to mask how insecure they feel. Social media has completely warped our baseline for reality. Looking rich has taken priority over actually becoming rich. A rented luxury car on an Instagram feed gets immediate attention, while a maxed-out retirement account goes entirely unnoticed. People become addicted to the loud validation of fake wealth, completely ignoring the quiet discipline required to build real wealth. The financial system makes this trap incredibly easy to fall into through the illusion of invisible money. When you hand over physical cash, your brain registers the loss, but swiping a piece of plastic removes that neurological friction. Severe debt doesn't feel dangerous in the moment. It just feels like temporary convenience. People don't buy products anymore. They buy identity. This desperation to buy into a wealthy identity explains behaviors that seem irrational on the surface. The lowest income households in the US spend roughly $400 a year on the lottery, 4 times more than the highest income groups. When you live paycheck to paycheck and college tuition feels impossible, a scratch-off ticket feels like the only accessible bridge to the dream everyone else is flaunting. Trading future financial freedom for temporary social validation today is the precise mechanism that traps the middle class in a permanent cycle of debt. If you want to escape that cycle and actually compound your money, you have to pay a toll. Every investment carries a price of admission, and that price is the volatility filter. Maximizing your returns over a lifetime requires enduring massive, terrifying decreases in your net worth along the way. Look closely at this line chart. If you had the foresight to invest heavily in Netflix 10 years ago, you would be incredibly wealthy today. But to get here, you would have had to survive 2011, when the company lost thousands of customers and the stock plummeted. Could you have watched 80% of your money evaporate, faced your family, and held your position without panicking? Biologically, humans are terrible at handling this. And maybe the saddest part is this: most people never realize they're trapped. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman points out that we are evolutionarily wired for loss aversion. Organisms that treat immediate threats as more urgent than long-term opportunities simply have a better chance of surviving in the wild. If you cannot consciously override your biological instinct to panic, you will always sell at the bottom. Listening to pessimists feels safe in the moment, but it inherently sabotages the compounding growth required to build actual wealth. The absolute greatest threat to your financial success is not a market crash, and it's not inflation. It is learned helplessness. It is the belief that the system is rigged against you, so trying is pointless. Once someone mentally accepts financial defeat, they stop learning, they stop taking calculated risks, and they freeze.
Most people stay poor for one reason.
A poor mindset asks, how much does it cost? A wealth mindset asks, what will this return over a decade? A poor mindset says, I want to look rich. A wealth mindset says, I want absolute freedom. Repeated over years, these subtle linguistic differences construct entirely different realities. In 1929, the global economy violently collapsed. The Great Depression wiped out massive fortunes overnight, proving that you cannot predict the future. Preserving wealth requires mental fortitude against these unpredictable black swan events, rather than relying on the illusion that you can perfectly time the market. But history provides a clear lesson. Even through global conflicts and profound catastrophic disasters, wealth survives and recovers if the investor remains highly disciplined. Ultimately, money does not change your core identity. It amplifies it. If you are impulsive with a little, you will be reckless with a lot. The greatest financial battle isn't happening in your brokerage account or your bank. It is happening in your mind. Master your behavior. The greatest financial battle is happening inside your mind.